Good morning, Dan. Today we are going to be going over Running with the Devil. So let's take each part and break it down. The first part is based on bars and C position open chords played in closed voicings. So we'll check that out. So what we have there is we're first, we're using our first finger a lot for this riff, and for a lot of the song actually, it's a lot of first finger stuff. But we're taking this and we're barring on the 5th fret on our D and G string, and we're moving that up to the 7. So it's only 2 notes for those two. And then what we do is we're going to extend that bar up to the B string. And it's kind of like that kind of thing where you take the top part of a major chord and then you extend it to the 4 chord, which in this case is going to be G major. So we have a bar on the D, G, and B string. Then we put down our first finger on our 8th fret, and then we put our ring finger on our 9th fret on our D string. And we get this. Then what we're going to do is we're going to slide that shape up a whole step. Then what we do after that is we let go of these 2 fingers and just leave the bar. So we have the 4ths, which are the first 2, the 5th and 7th fret. Extend the bar and hammer onto that G major chord, which has our 3rd finger on the 9th fret D string, and our middle finger on the 8th fret B string. Slide that up, and then let go of that bar. Now the picking pattern for this can be done in several ways. We can slide up from that 5 to 7, or we can pick it. I kind of like to pick myself, it's a little faster of an attack. Now for this part, it's definitely a hammer on. But for this next part where we slide up, we can either pick it, or we can hammer on and pull off, slide and pull off, I should say. Or I wouldn't do the pull off. It's kind of weak for this song. So, in my experience with this song, you're gonna hammer on with that major chord from the first bar, and then pick, and then pick, down, down. Do you really want that meticulousness? Just because this Van Halen song is very syncopated, which means it plays on the upbeats a lot. Speaking of, let's move on to the next part. In the next part, which is the verse, we have a lot of syncopation going on. All the chords are on the upbeats, and all our open A strings are going to be marking our downbeats. So that first part is very bluesy, and all that is we're playing an A major or A power chord, the big bar, and then we're using our 2nd finger to bend on the 3rd fret of our low E. Now the bend doesn't actually go anywhere. It's kind of like a quarter step bend, or what I like to say is you're giving that note some whiskey. You're just kind of giving it like a little bit of motion, and you're bending up. You're bending it in the motion of the next chord you're going to, which is A. So G goes to A. You're going to want to bend that note up towards A. That part's not in the song. But anyway, so we have that, and then the next part is very syncopated. We have on the downbeats a palm muted A, and then we have a G major chord, which is just our 2nd finger on our 5th fret D string, and our first finger on our 4th fret G string. Then we go down to the minor chord, which is going to be F sharp minor, and that's 3rd finger on our 4th fret D string, 1st finger 2nd fret G string, and then another palm mute. Each chord is preceded and left with an open palm mute. Then that last one is our 1st finger on the 2nd fret D string, open G string. Then we go back to the beginning. And the counting is a little tricky on this, but it goes something like this. So these happen on 1. 1. 1. And then after that, on the last one of these, we lay on an E power chord. And then we go back to the chorus. Oh, and one more thing about that main part, which is the chorus and the intro. When you come off of that last bar, which is going to be on the 9th fret, give it a little bit of slide, give it some motion back down, because this song has a lot of cool guitar effects on it, that is being one of them. The next part we have is a solo, which we can also call the bridge, because compared to the rest of Van Halen's solos, there's not really much of one, but it is still a beautiful part. So we're gonna take a look at that now. It's a great part. So what we're going to be doing, we're going to be barring. It's like that A chord that we had on the verse, except we're playing this bar an octave higher. So we're barring with our 1st finger on the 2nd fret for our D, G, and B string. And what we're going to do is we're going to pick all of it, we're going to arpeggiate that. Then when we get to the top on that B string, we're going to then go 15, 17. And then after that, we have 2 pull-offs, both on the 15 and 14 on the B string. So we come back down from the 17, and once we come back down from the 17, it starts that sequential 2 pull-off hammer-ons for the 15, 14. Then what we do is we go back down to the G string and D string, and we play that bar, which we still have down on the 14th fret. Then we go up and rake back down all 3 2nd fret notes for the end of it. So all together slow, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we move that same shape, the exact same motions, down 2 steps. I should say down 2 frets, not steps. Sorry about that. So one thing to keep in mind when we're doing these two is once we reach that top fret, so if we're talking about the first, once we get up to that 17, we can just let it pull off. We can just start pulling off from there. And that'll help us give us the right feel and the right kind of grit that we want for this part. Now the next two times are a little bit different. Now that part is very similar to the first time around. Now instead of going back down that arpeggio reverse on the 14th fret bar that we have, we're actually going to do a bend now on the 17th fret on our high E. And we're going to go 2 whole steps. We're not going to bend 2 whole steps. We're going to do 2 whole step bends. And then vibrato on a regular 17 unbent. Now the key with these bends here is to really get an accurate and sharp articulation on these. And a good way to practice this is to find the note that you want to reach. So we want the 19th fret, so you're going to want to hit the 19th fret unbent with your pinky or something, and then go back down to the 17th and try to guess where that is. And that's a really good way to start really knowing your bends inside out and really knowing how far you need to bend before you even hear the note. And then afterwards, it's a very quick attack too. So as soon as you hit that note, you're not actually you're hearing just a little bit of a bend on the 17, but you want to leave it so quickly that it just sounds like a inflection going into that note. So it's very natural, almost like a voice. A lot of vocalists don't actually hit the note first, they bend up to it very quickly. So that's what we want to keep in mind when we're doing this bend. So slowly, that third time through the bridge goes. And then really really hold on to that vibrato. And a cool thing to do, it's hard to keep that bend kind of clean in this kind of lick. So a really helpful thing that I found that I do when I do this is leave the bar on that 14th fret, and you won't get any string noise from any of your strings below it. You might get a little like when you're trying to do it slow, but it's much cleaner then. So work on that, and that'll definitely be a really great tool to use for other things, especially in other pentatonic licks that you will do. Then we move it down, and we do the same ending as we did on that time on the second time through. So we don't actually finish with the downward arpeggios that we did on the first time. So we end with the 2 pull-offs from, now it's 13, 12, 13, 12. Now what we do is we're going to do... Now, I was listening to the song, and it's been driving me crazy, so what we're going to be doing is, we're going to be playing, for the ending, it's only two chords. And the first one is our second finger on our 13th fret B string, and then our first finger on our 12th fret E string. So this is a major third, and it's always this shape, except when you're on the G and B string. This major third is C major, and what we're going to do is we're going to hit that really quick, and then we're going to move up a half step and bend it up a half step. Or we can actually, we're actually not going to start on the C major. We're going to do a C sharp major. So we start on the 14th fret on our B string and the 13th fret on our E string. And then we bend up a half step. But we have to make sure when we do this, both fingers are bending equally. So you can keep that major third interval, sounding great and not dissonant. So that bridge part altogether goes something like... No, not like that, sorry. Kind of butchered the first part. My guitar keeps falling out of tune. Anyway, so that's Running with the Devil. Dan, I hope this video helps you, and for whoever else is watching it, I hope it helps you too. It's a great song, and keep playing, keep having fun, and we'll see you in the next one. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.